Also, just to let everybody know, I wanted to mention that we're trying out a new Zoom feature, the computer-generated transcription. So you'll see that at the bottom of the screen. It might take a couple minutes to get used to it, but I think it'll be okay soon. We're going to try it out for tonight's meeting.
Good.
Okay, we are ready to begin when you are, Dana.
Okay, great. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to turn my screen on, or I'm going to share my screen for the presentation. So just bear with me 1 second. Okay, great. Do you all see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Well, good evening, Board of Commissioners. Thank you so much for having us here tonight. We're going to talk about Highway Independence Boulevard project. This presentation reflects work that was done by the town of Matthews, the city of Charlotte, CRTPO, which stands for Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization, and NCDOT staff. This presentation was originally was created by Andy Grimsky with Charlotte Department of Transportation. And so I want to give him a shout out. I whittled it down to the relevant slides for you all to understand the Independence Boulevard history. Okay. Hold on, let me progress the slides. There we go. So we're going to look back as well as look forward. I'm going to do the first part of the presentation, which is basically the history of Independence Boulevard. And see where we got to today. And then I'm going to hand it off to Brett Knight, and he is our Division 10 engineer from NCDOT, and he's going to talk about how the implementation of the improvements for Independence Boulevard is going to unfold in the future. So I'm going to start all the way in 1944, the Federal Highway Act. So basically the Federal Highway Act allowed for the federal government to pay for road improvements. And what happened was that Charlotte was one of the first to get this funding. And the first project they used the money for was what they called Crosstown Boulevard, which eventually turned into Independence Boulevard. And so in 1946, the taxpayers of Charlotte voted for a street bond for $200,000 so that they could match the $2 million of federal dollars to create this project. In 1949, the first segment was open to operation. So this pretty cool picture back in 1948, looking at this construction. You then move into the 1950s when the second phase of the project opened. And this was really the first time you saw really a shift to suburbanization, if you will. It really helped the East Side expand from this point into beyond. Improvements basically made development more attractive. And when Charlotte officials considered creating a new municipal theater and Coliseum, they looked not to Uptown, but to the East Side on Independence Boulevard. So you see this picture of the Coliseum back when it was developed. In the 1960s, you just saw the increase of traffic. Folks were, moving to Charlotte, population was increasing, and 25,000 vehicles a day were using Independence Boulevard. Eventually, they had on-street parking on sections of Independence Boulevard, and that was eliminated to create better capacity. It was becoming increasingly clear that Independence Boulevard would have to be expanded. And so in the 1960s, there's something called the Charlotte Master Highway Transportation Plan. And you can see on your screen that this red section, that's Independence Boulevard, is listed as an expressway. So they saw this vision 60 years ago of creating an expressway for Independence Boulevard. I'm skipping the 70s and going right to the 1980s when the conversion of the freeway started happening. And the first section of the road was basically from Belk Freeway to Wendover. And, look, the new infrastructure really changed the network in the area, and the traveling public definitely benefited from this. But there was some things that were unintended consequences, like the neighborhoods adjacent had to adapt. They lost their connectivity, and some of them even lost their property. the local government officials really wanted to understand in the future, if they were going to continue the expansion of the freeway, how strip commercial that was occurring on the boulevard was going to impact the development of the project, without it leading to enormous public expenditures. And that was really their primary concern, making sure it wasn't going to cost too much. And so they really tried a sort of a different tact. They developed the 1987 US 74 East Special Project Plans. And you see in the red highlights, or the circles, I should say, are collector streets. So basically everything south of McAlpine Creek was really undeveloped at this point. And so they had this opportunity to develop a parallel network of streets that could really help in the ultimate development and reduction of cost for Highway 74. They wanted 74 to be an expressway. They knew commercial development was coming, and they didn't want the development to be then demolished because of the Highway 74 corridor. So they created this parallel route system. So to the town's credit and to the city of Charlotte's credit, the land use process really helped develop these corridors. So, back in the 90s, as well as, currently Jay Camp and the planning department helped implement this vision. So if you look on the, here is 74, this dark orange, and then in this lighter orange, you see the Northeast Parkway. And then you can see this section here. This is Bainbridge. The residents haven't moved in yet. These are some of the new apartments that are coming up. And this is a new section of the corridor. And then you see on the west side, you see this is Independence Point Parkway, and here is Target. And then up here by Sam Newell, there's a section of roadway. Of course, you see missing pieces, both on the Matthew side and the Charlotte side. And that's where Brett Knight will talk about the missing links of these projects and how the new project that we're going to talk about tonight will connect all these pieces. So in the 2000s, we had an upgrade of Independence to Albemarle Road completed. Then we had a fast lane study, and I was in a different section of the region, and I worked on this study back in 2009. And it was really fascinating to look at the possibility of connecting our region through what we're calling fast lanes, managed lanes, toll lanes, really to provide travel reliability. And that's really the name of the game when you're dealing with the Turnpike Authority and trying to get traffic moving, is managing those lanes so that people who really need to get somewhere can travel at a reliable clip. And so you see 74, US 74 is represented on this map, and it was shown that it was, it revealed great demand for managed lanes in this corridor. In 2010 to 2020 till now, there was a lot of studying going on. So this was, ULI is the Urban Land Institute, and they did a study and they looked at bus rapid transit along the Independence Boulevard project. There was a section of the corridor that was completed from Albemarle Road to Wallace Lane, and that included some managed lanes. Then there was another study in 2014, a traffic and revenue study that looked at potentially one reversible express lane versus two. And then we had the 2016 Southeast Corridor Transit Study. And that basically just looked at the concerns and issues, opportunities along the corridor. 2019 was the last of the studies, and that was the Independence Pedestrian Safety Study. And this was a really critical study to look at all of the pedestrian movement through the corridor. NCDOT paid for this study. It was really important, and it really helped validate the bicycle and pedestrian accommodations that we need to make sure everyone's safe. All modes of transportation are safe along this corridor. In addition, U2509, which is the project STIP number. STIP is the State Transportation Improvement Program, and U25 for the first time appeared on the STIP in I guess 2015 maybe or so. And so that project number is where we are today. And basically we have this pretty large project, pretty expensive project that needs to be completed. And Brett Knipe is here with NCDOT to talk about how in the future, how this project is going to unfold. And so that's sort of my quick overview of looking backwards. Are there any questions that I can answer? Because we're going to let Brett get into the weeds with all of the details of the project moving forward.
None for me.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay, and I'm going to let Brett has his screen he's going to share, correct, Brett?
That is right. I'm going to do my best. Thank you, Dana. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, and I do see that Roger Rochelle joined us as well. Roger Rochelle is with the Turnpike Authority. We also have on the call David Wasserman with NCDOT, Jeff Littlefield with NCDOT. He's our deputy engineer for Division 10. And like I said, Brett Knipe is our division engineer, and he's going to hopefully successfully share his screen. Oh, Rada is also on the call, and he is a consultant who's helping. He's with RSNH, and he's been, I think he helped create the presentation and is helping Brett and his team.
That's right. Yes, Rada was a big part of putting this together. And I'm going to get my screen share to work, I promise. Okay, can everyone see it now?
No, sir.
One more try.
Yes.
Okay. And there we go. So sorry about that taking me so long. Trying to get used to the virtual meeting platform these days, but I can't quite say that I've mastered it just yet. Thank you, Dana, for that introduction. I think it's always valuable to get the background, the full background of a project, how we arrived to where we are today, and then we can start looking about how we're moving forward. But I do want to say before we get really started here that Dana, the other town staff have been tremendously helpful in our work group as we've worked through this process. It's been a lot of hard, fast work over the last several months, and so it's taken a lot of extra time and effort for the folks that have really put this together. But again, I'll restate what Dana's already said. I am Brett Knipe. I'm with the North Carolina Department of Transportation, Division 10 engineer. I know several of the folks on the call, but definitely not all of you. Look forward to the day when we can get back together in person and do a formal meeting. But also joining us again is Roger Rochelle. He's the North Carolina Turnpike Authority's chief engineer, and David Wasserman, who is North Carolina Department of Transportation Western Region STIP manager. That's the State Transportation Improvement Program. So David is the man behind the money. He's the guy that figures out how we're going to pay for all this stuff. So Jeff Littlefield, my deputy division engineer, again, is also on. With that, we'll try to get started. The agenda tonight, we are going to talk a little bit more about the background. Dana did an excellent job. We'll go into a little bit different direction with the background, not too deep though. Talk with you about this work group that was created when we recognized we had a fairly serious challenge on our hands, because we're talking about a very large project that became increasingly difficult to develop a funding plan for. And we had to start looking at things and taking certain priorities into consideration to think about how can we deliver this project, when can we deliver it, and over what time frame. We will go into detail on the proposed funding schedule, and there's probably going to be, it's a lot of information to take in. I'll do my best to walk you all through that and be glad to answer questions as we get there. And then we'll talk about what we're going to do from here, how we're going to make it this project moving a reality. So as Dana had mentioned, the US 74 managed lanes projects, it's two projects here we're talking about, which is U6103 and U2509. Those are just STIP project numbers. Some of you may be familiar with that type of nomenclature. You'll see that the Monroe Expressway, a tolled facility, is on this screen, and also the I-485 Express Lanes project, which is now under construction. And that this network of managed lanes is all part of the fast lane study that Dana had mentioned that was adopted through a local planning organization and embraced by the North Carolina Turnpike Authority with us here at the division, trying to help keep it moving forward. So both of your projects I just showed you are committed projects. They're what that means is they are committed in the state's transportation improvement plan. You know, our projects that are selected must go through a competitive process where they're compared against other projects, and how they rank and score determines their, generally speaking, determines the way that we could deliver those projects. Here, these projects are in the first 5 years of our STIP because they scored well enough, which means they're committed, which means they don't have to recompete again in the future with other projects. If they were in the second 5 years of this STIP, which is a 10-year period, by the way, I failed to mention that, the 2020 to 2029 STIPs, what we're talking about, if they had fell out into that last 5 years in the original prioritization process, they would have been uncommitted. As you can see, both the projects combined, the corridor improvement totals over $1 billion right now. And after the state went through the process of you know, our most recent STIP evaluation to make our determination as to how much money we truly have, how much our projects are costing, we were limited. We realized there was only you know, this $450 million number that was available for this 10-year period. In addition to that, we are confined by a corridor cap. That means we can only program a certain percentage of our overall statewide tier funds, which this is a statewide tier project. We can get in a little bit more about what that means later if there are questions about it. But so we couldn't program any more than that. And so these are the kind of the parameters that we had to work around as we got started. You can see a little bit of a cost breakdown here for the streets, the systems, the parallel streets, interchanges, and which in general purpose lanes, you could see for were at one time estimated to cost a total of $636 million. We, of course, as you know, project development process moves forward, estimates are refined, better understandings of the scope is generated, and through that process, we found ourselves nearing the $1.4 billion mark for all of these corridor improvements. You know, and those are large numbers we're talking about, and it's hard to contend with that type of impact to a statewide budget for one corridor. So that's how we realized such a dramatic, you know, cost increase over this period of time. What we've done is segmented the project. We're about to walk through all those segments and try to explain to you what they are and when they're happening. But we broke the project down into three general segment types. One, you know, connectivity improvements, and then mainline and general purpose lane improvements, and then express lane additions. Okay, and so the connectivity improvements, we're talking about adding interchanges that take out and remove the signals on the corridor, and we're talking about the collector or connector streets, the parallel routes. All these, the mainline improvements, again, they're removing traffic signals and adding general purpose lanes, and back to the travel time reliability that Dana mentioned before. The express lanes would come in as a third project type. There we go. Sorry about that. So the project segments, there's 18 segments in all. They're broken out into various segments here. You can see them. They're not all highlighted here, but you can see we've broken up the express lanes you can start to see that the nomenclature here: E1 for express lanes, M1 for main line, M2 main line, M3, and so on and so forth. And you're going to learn a lot more about these segments tonight before this is all done. You can see connectivity segments here. Again, they're parallel routes and completing connections back up to the main line here, like in this segment. Again, more segments, one in particular in Prince Point Parkway, very important to the town. When crosses I-485 here over to the Levine campus, CPCC Levine.
Hey, Brett, this is Hazen. Could
Hey.
you orient the board a little bit? I mean, because the screen, at least on mine, I got a laptop, is small, and
Sorry about that.
I'm not sure they know what's intersections what.
Okay, so this side of the screen here, this is the John Belk Freeway side. This is heading east towards 485. I'm following my cursor. Albemarle Road, 2427 here. Keep going. Idlewild, Wallace Lane, Harris Boulevard area. Keep going, and then you connect the line down here, and continuing on east, Sardis Road, Windsor Square area, and into the Matthews Mint Hill Road and NC 51 interchange back here, and this is 485. So it goes from general east or west rather to east. And we've got a video that I hope I've got my sound set up right, because this video was put together when we were in our public hearing processes, I think year ago, or more than that now actually, and it really shows the story of what this project was envisioned to be at one time delivered. So let me try to move on to that, and I'll play this video. Please let me know if you're not able to hear the sound, and hopefully I clicked the right buttons to make this work. Everyone hear the sound? You guys have sound?
Sound is working.
Good, thank
US 74 has always played an important role in the Charlotte region. It is a vital corridor not only for residents, but also for businesses and their customers. From daily commutes to regional truck travel and holiday beach trips, it serves numerous purposes and accommodates a variety of needs, both locally and regionally. The attraction of the Charlotte region has led to extraordinary growth. The region's success has also contributed to congestion and unpredictable travel times on major roadways, and US 74 is no exception. As a result, the US 74 corridor has become the focus of various planning studies. Local and regional stakeholders and the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization have partnered with NCDOT to develop key improvements with lasting benefits along this corridor. NCDOT is implementing these improvements, which will focus on connectivity between communities, enhanced functionality and accessibility, driver safety, and an expanded network of bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. Drivers along the corridor will benefit from greater mobility, improved traffic flow, and the option to use express lanes for reliable travel times. Once completed, these enhancements will transform US 74 into a newly revitalized corridor, capable of meeting today's traffic demands, as well as the anticipated future growth for the region. The proposed improvements for US 74 occur between I-485 in Matthews and I-277 in Uptown Charlotte, and will include additional general purpose and auxiliary lanes between I-485 and Idlewild Road, the replacement of intersections with new interchanges and overpass bridges, dedicated express lanes within the median of US 74 between I-485 and Idlewild Road, conversion of existing bus lanes to express lanes from Idlewild Road to I-277, access between general purpose lanes and express lanes at several locations along the corridor, and a series of extensions to the local parallel road network. Traveling east to west along US 74, we will highlight the planned improvements and discuss their benefits. Starting east of I-485 and continuing west to Idlewild Road, general purpose lanes, auxiliary lanes, and express lanes will be added to the corridor. These new lanes will increase capacity and provide an option for reliable travel times. Access between the US 74 and I-485 express lanes will be provided, allowing for a seamless connection between these two express lane facilities. Continuing west from I-485, the signalized intersection at Matthews Mint Hill Road will be replaced by a new interchange with on and off ramps. The replacement of signalized intersections with interchanges will improve roadway functionality. Continuing west along US 74, the NC 51 interchange will be shifted to accommodate the construction of additional lanes. Independence Point Parkway and Northeast Parkway will be extended on each side of the corridor. The expansion of the local roadway network is essential for separating regional traffic from local trips, increasing connectivity, and maintaining the economic viability of businesses. Access for the express lanes will be provided near Sam Newell Road. A new overpass and roadway upgrades will be constructed at Sam Newell Road. New overpass bridges over US 74 will help connect communities while enabling traffic to flow more freely throughout the corridor. Improvements to the parallel road network will continue through this section of the corridor. Further west, the Sardis Road North intersection will be replaced by an interchange. There will be additional access for the US 74 express lanes at Sardis Road North. The intersection at Crefeld Drive will be replaced by an overpass. West of Crefeld Drive, the intersection at Village Lake Drive will be replaced with a new interchange. Other improvements will supplement the ones highlighted to enhance functionality and continue the conversion of the corridor to a highway with limited entrance and exit points. Access for the US 74 express lanes will be provided at Conference Drive. At Sharon Amity Road, there will be access for the express lanes. Another access for the express lanes will be provided at Albemarle Road. West of Albemarle Road, towards I-277, the existing bus lanes in the median of US 74 will be converted to one express lane in each direction. Near I-277, there will be access for the express lanes. This will offer drivers a continuous system of express lanes on US 74 between I-485 in Matthews and I-277 in Uptown Charlotte. US 74 is part of the Greater Express Lanes network planned for the Charlotte region. The improvements to US 74 and its connection to the Regional Express Lanes network will result in better functionality, enhanced connectivity, and more travel options along this vital corridor. It will benefit local residents, commuters, and businesses, as well as accommodate future growth. The prosperity of the Charlotte region depends on keeping people and goods moving. A new and improved US 74 will help us reach that goal, both today and tomorrow.
Okay. Got a little ahead of myself there. Sorry about that. All right. I hope everyone enjoyed the video and got a better perspective of what this project is in a whole. We'll keep going now. Hopefully you guys, if there's any building questions, we can catch those if you need to as we go. We'll definitely talk about it in the end, I'm sure. But as we get into more details, I can certainly understand where this could need to be more of an open dialogue, if you wish. Okay, so, I mentioned this work group that was formed. That work group had the task of figuring out how can we deliver this project when we know we don't have enough money to do it as it was originally conceived, because it was originally essentially two projects, the 2509, the 6103. Each one of those could go independently of one another, but essentially, large amounts of work ongoing at one time. We've recognized we can't afford to do that. So this work group we put together, which again includes Town of Matthews staff, City of Charlotte, CATS. We try to get a representation of all those impacted by this project. We first realized, you have to look at your traffic volumes. What are your projected volumes going to be in the future? That's the basic, principle behind any transportation project, right? We have to make assessments and determine what we believe our demand's going to be and base our work on that. Secondly, in getting the priority from the stakeholder group. Again, that's the local priority. And that was primarily focused on many of the connectivity segments and the parallel routes, because we recognize transportation isn't just a standalone thing. Major projects like this have impacts to land use plans, and can impact generations worth of work that have gone into those plans. So we're trying to take all that into account here. The cost estimates, obviously, we've got to be able to afford it in the certain funding year that we've got the money allocated. The segmentation I mentioned was primarily the first point we had to check was, are these segments constructible independently? What are those right-of-way impacts and utility relocation cost and durations? And then again, how long does it take us to design these things and get it actually ready to go to construction? So as we developed this plan, we had to take all this information into account. There's 18 segments that was created that I mentioned. You can see each of those here broken out by their right-of-way costs, utility costs, and construction costs in total. And then the number at the bottom right is the big ticket number of $1.4 billion. And so we had to figure out how we can work that $1.4 billion into a 10-year program. We knew we couldn't get it all in, but we knew we could get a great start. And so that's how we put together that priority list and started prioritizing these segments. That had to fit in this STIP window that I mentioned, this current STIP that 2020 to 2029 10-year period, where we've got this $50 million allocated for the first 2 years that we can get to work on this in earnest, and then $400 million that carries us out through 2029. And probably should have already said this, but we're dealing with the information we have as we know it today, the funding as we project it to be in the future. And so, of course, it's all subject to change, but that's always the case when you're talking about dealing with public funds. It's what we know right now is what we believe we're going to have to work with. So, the work group put together this priority list. We believe we have a funding schedule that's workable. There could be refinements to this over time, particularly as you get into the latter years. You notice we're carrying this work all the way out until 2037. That is quite some time from now. I personally plan to be retired by then, and so I'm sure that the subsequent generations will continue to work on this plan, refine it, make it better if they can, right? So we recognize those things are going to happen, but from what we know right now, this is what we believe that each project phase will begin. This is a green phase, means right-of-way acquisition and utility relocation, and then the orange is when these projects are under construction. And you can see we can start some projects together. One of them might take a little less time, so we can get to construction earlier, and so on and so forth. So here's where we're going to switch over to the proposed funding schedule in map form, and I'll try to walk everyone through what those improvements are. So I will have to stop sharing for a minute, and then reshare to get my maps up.
Brett, while you're doing that, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do you know if the Irvins Creek pedestrian underpass on 74 is included in the cost estimates for the project?
Mayor, I'm not 100% sure. I honestly think that it's not, because that's a pretty granular detail that we haven't gotten deep into just yet. I know it's been a point of conversation and it's been brought up, you know, a good number of times. So it's something we're going to have to figure out as we move forward.
Certainly something I've been asked a few times, so I thought I'd ask you.
Definitely a good question. Okay. So, and we can revisit that, you know, and there's going to be a lot more questions that come out of this project development process. We're going to have to figure that one out too. Certainly it would be a big cost to install that tunnel under US 74, as you might imagine. Okay, so we're going to break this out by year. I'll try to do my best. It gets pretty busy on the screens we walk through this. So if I'm not being clear, if you have any questions, just let me know. So remember, I mentioned 2023 would be the start year for the work based on what we know right now, where we are with project development. It would take us that long to begin the right-of-way phase for any project section. So you can see here, these projects are showing up in green. That's right-of-way acquisition relocation for segments C1, C2, C10, and C13, which is the Northeast Parkway between Matthews Mint Hill Road, Matthews Mint Hill Road interchange, Harris Boulevard and Margaret Wallace area, and then the Sharon Forest Drive interchange. So we'll be working on right-of-way then.
Brett, would you show them the years there at the top of the screen so everybody can see us marching through the years at the same time?
Can you see those? 2020. So right now I've flipped to the 2025 at the top of the screen. You guys should see that. Do y'all see that here? So this is showing in 2025 that we've got many more projects in the right-of-way phase. We've got C8, Sam Newell Road interchange, C11, Independence Point Parkway between Windsor Square Drive and NC51, C6, Sardis Road interchange, C5, Crefeld Drive. Gonna move on into 2026, and we've got the first orange showing up on the screen. This is projects that are under construction. If you can see it at the top here, it gives you the color indicator that orange is under construction. So section or segment C10, Matthews Mint Hill Road interchange, and then C13, Northeast Parkway between NC51 and Matthews Mint Hill Road is going to construction at that time. At the same time, we expect to start work on the first express lanes segment and right-of-way acquisition. That's from I-277 in Charlotte out here to west of Idlewild Road. And then it also includes the mainline improvement segment M1, which takes you out to Wallace Lane. 2027, we've got construction starting on this area at C. Actually, I think I've got that wrong. I apologize for that. Yeah, and C2, which is Harris Boulevard and the Margaret Wallace Village Lake interchange. And so that's a pretty large reconfiguration effort. That's why it took a few more years to get out to construction than the other locations that started right away at the same time. And then C1 is also Sharon Forest Drive. That's going to happen at the same time.
Brett, can I ask a question, please?
Yeah. Yes.
Jeff Miller, on C13, by the year in question, 2027, most of that orange from Matthews Mint, well, from 51 to Matthews Mint Hill, Old 51, most of that, except for about 500 feet, is my understanding, will already have been built by private developers. Have you taken that into account?
Well, we know that's a factor. It's a possibility. You know, and as private development occurs, we'll react to that. You know, one thing that we're pretty proud of is we work well with the towns and their staff to coordinate development into our projects. And so, you know, usually there's a reservation or right of way at the very least, and sometimes you get roads constructed out of the deal. And so whenever that happens, if it happens ahead of us, we'll certainly take that into account and modify the plan accordingly.
Thank you.
Sure. Going on into 2028, we've got a lot more construction started, a lot more orange showing up on the screen. C8, this section of the Sam Newell interchange carrying all the way through here across Independence. C11, which is the connector, Independence Point Parkway between Windsor Square and 51 here. C6, which is the Sardis Road interchange, and C5, which is Crefeld Drive South, we're calling it, all going under construction there. The express lanes E1 segment and mainline M1 segment are also going to be under construction by that time. Again, current plans with the information we have in front of us today. We've gotten the first blue showing up on the screen, I believe. Blue represents segments that are now open to traffic. And so by 2028, we expect to see cars beginning to utilize these long-term plans that we've all talked about tonight. That's going to be the C10 Matthews Mint Hill Road interchange and C13, the Northeast Parkway segment. And so now we're out into the next decade in 2030. We're a long ways from now. We think this is where we're gonna be, and we're gonna keep working to that. You've got a couple more segments open to traffic. Section C8, Sam Newell Road interchange, C11, the Independence Point Parkway between Windsor Square and 51, C6, the Sardis Road interchange, C5, Crefeld Drive, Harris Boulevard area, and the Sharon Forest interchange. All very important improvements. They're going to start freeing up this corridor coming online around 2030. During that same time, we're going to be moving on right of way on this segment here, C12, that's current plan, which is carrying Independence Point Parkway again from Matthews Mint Hill Road across I-485 and tying into the CPCC Levine campus. Okay, 2031.
Brett, can I ask a question? Brett, can I ask a question?
Yes.
This is Hazen. So the $450 million has now been spent, right? It was through to 2029.
Yes.
So now, what does that mean? Does that mean the region has to rework for the money, or what's the DOT's response to that?
So if think back to the slide where I was talking about projects being committed, these projects are committed in our STIP, and by our STI law as it stands today, we're moving forward with these projects. It's yes, it's carrying out past our current STIP year, but every 2 years in general, we revisit the STIP and rescore projects. These projects won't have to be rescored. They will remain in the STIP. It's just that we're now talking about how we're delivering these projects over time. So you're right, Hazen, we're beyond the current year's STIP window of 2029. And we're projecting, this is what we're basing this on the amount of funding that we believe we'll have at that time. Okay. I hope that answered the question. So in 2031, we've got express lanes opening, starting the 6103 section that we mentioned out here at 277, carrying all the way through, including this M1 segment out to Wallace Lane. A lot of other right-of-way is starting in this area, the M2 express lanes from Wallace Lane to Sardis Road, takes you all the way to here. And section C3 of Crefeld, that's the Crefeld Drive interchange. That's going to be an important connector across Independence Boulevard, and the segments M3, C9 here, Independence Point Parkway, C14 also, which is the NC51 interchange. And that project itself has to take place when the main line work occurs, because it's getting wider than the existing bridge can accommodate. And so that's why it's timed out like that. On to 2023, we've got this segment under construction. It takes Independence Point Parkway across I-485, again from Matthews Mint Hill Road to CPT campus. We are beginning right-of-way on section C4 and C7, which is Margaret Wallace and Arequipa Drive here, and C7 ties in and connects over here, which is the Sardis Road south, or north rather, connector. 2034, we've got more mainline work under construction. M2, which is the main line from Wallace Lane out to Sardis Road down here, and C3, which is the Crefeld Drive interchange. Also M3, this farther segment, carrying you all the way to 485 is under construction. The NC51 interchange, like I pointed out a little bit ago, those projects have to go concurrently, so it's happening at the same time. This segment of Independence Point Parkway, C9, which is connecting Sardis Road up to Sam Newell Road interchange, and C14, the 51. Again, I guess I repeated that one twice. Sorry about that. The interchange there at 51 under construction. And again, I know this is a lot to take in at one time, and so if there's any specific questions, we're about to wrap up this segment here. We'll answer any questions we can. But we're out to 2035. We've got C4 under construction. We've got C7 under construction, and we've got this C12 segment open to traffic. And we jump now to 2037. You can see now that we have gotten through all phases of work for the whole corridor based on the current plan, the current funding as we project it and know it today. And we expect to have all improvements open to traffic at that time. And so before I switch away from these maps back to the other PowerPoint, is there anyone want to try to go back through that? I know it was a lot to take in at one time. Okay. Thank you. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Now we'll go back.
You know, Brett, 2037 is so long from now. I probably won't be driving them, but I'll ask Commissioner McCool to give me a ride on the new roadway.
I may be right there with you. Wrong one. That's not the right one. That's the right one. Okay. So, next steps. We've done a lot of work. This process started last fall. We really weren't sure how we're going to handle this. A lot of hardworking folks put their heads together, came up with this plan, and you know, we're ready to take it to the broader audience, which is why we're here tonight. We want to hear from you guys at the town, and we're hopeful that you like what you've seen. Certainly, we can answer questions, but what we're hoping to do is continue to march forward. We would like to take this to the technical coordinating committee with Charlotte, the CRTPO, the planning organization there in Charlotte, which you guys are a member of, here in March. We want to continue to refine. We'll use a work group meeting to refine any comments we get from these two meetings. Then we want to take it to the TCC and to the MPO for a concurrence vote. And if that occurs, then we would amend the STIP to include these project segments that we've outlined. You know, we need to do that because sometime this year, we need to be getting to work on our design efforts, getting towards right-of-way to meet the deadlines in 2023 that were outlined of our start date. And then as that's moving forward, the CRTPO has to conduct an air quality conformity exercise to take into account this new plan.
Hey, Brett, this is Hazen again. What's the date on the I can't remember the number, but it's behind the Harris. It's from 51 over to, I think it's behind the Cracker Barrel. That segment, when's that supposed to be completed?
I lost it, Hazen.
Oh, let me, does Dana may know, she may have it all memorized.
All right, so 51. Give me the landmark again, Hazen.
Yeah, from 51, I guess westward to behind Cracker Barrel. So you'd go through the Sam Newell, and it's on the south side or the west side.
C09 is he's referring to C09.
Section 9.
Wouldn't that be Bonefish?
Oh, it would be Bonefish. That's right, Jeff.
So
But how can we say, don't we conclude it all the way to, for some reason, I thought we classified it all the way to Cracker Barrel. Maybe I'm wrong.
So it's showing being completed would be at the end of the plan in 2037. Yeah, still showing construction.
No, I think we're talking about two different things. 2037.
Brad, it might be helpful to bring up the presentation again so we can all see it.
You're not seeing that? I thought I had it. No, I didn't stop sharing.
Sorry, I think that's C11. I apologize, Hazen. Is C11 is the one you're talking about behind the Home Depot?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. Wrong landmark. That would be, I think that's in 2029 or 2030 is the one behind Home Depot. That's 51 to, what's the Crown? I don't have the presentation in front of me.
I'm going to get it up.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm sorry, you guys. Bear with me. I'm not the guy to rely on when you want to have quick movements with these virtual meetings. Sorry. Wish I could do better.
You're good.
You're doing great. Don't worry.
Okay, are you guys seeing it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. It only took me a minute or two. Sorry. All right. So again, which one are we on?
C11.
C11. All right. So we're open to traffic there.
So from there.
2030.
Okay, thanks, Brett.
It looks like it goes to Cracker Barrel, and then there's a gap.
Is that here?
Yes.
Well, that's actually,
That was
that
the
segment's
16.
built. Cracker Barrel is on the west side of Seminole Road. It's where the roundabout there, this next one. There you go, that one right there. I think all that's C11.
So this is C11 here. And then C8 is the Seminole Road interchange, which includes these segments
Okay.
of Independence Point Parkway, because these segments become a part of the interchange itself. It's how traffic will actually access Independence Boulevard through these legs.
What is that hollow gap in between the blue?
Right here.
Yeah. Yes.
So
sir.
that should be under already constructed.
Okay.
Should be an existing roadway segment.
Thank you.
Certainly. Any other questions? That concludes the presentation. There's
I lost sound.
can everyone else hear?
Yes,
I can't hear anything.
we got audio.
Maybe we need a chat box him, maybe.
I can hear now.
Okay, good. I was just asking if there were any further questions. I've concluded the presentation, delivered all the information. I know it was a lot to take in. We can certainly continue the conversation as we move forward, but while we've got this audience tonight, and with the other folks that are on the line from the department, we'll be glad to take any questions you guys have right now.
Brett, can you get us a definitive answer on the Irvins Creek? You said it's probably not included, but can you let us know for sure?
We can.
Appreciate that.
Sure. Absolutely.
And also, you talked about this a little bit, but can you tell us what the basis of, how much funding are you expecting after 2030? I mean, this whole project initially was what, 1.2 billion or something like that?
So, David, you can expand on that if you want, but because I know you're the one that put the financial plan together, but the goal would be to have it all completed by 2037 and expend the balance of the funds by then, the balance of the cost.
So for the programming of the projects beyond 2029, and this is David Wasserman, CDOT STIP unit, we made the assumption of $80 million per year for this project, and that's just continuing the funding that was programmed in FY 26 through, FY 25 through FY 29. So we just continue that out until the project was fully funded. Once we develop, or as we develop future STIPs, we can reevaluate the funding. If there's opportunity for more funding, we certainly look at that, see if there's an opportunity to advance certain sections. Similarly, if our funding gets tighter, segments may have, the schedule may have to change. And I think I do want to draw attention to that note on the bottom left of your screen. This is the schedule that you see here is based on a snapshot in time. As you all know, funding changes and it can change quite rapidly. And so I do want to caution that it certainly is a possibility that while we did our best to program these projects, allow even a little bit of a cushion for funding changes, I think I just want to reiterate that there is always a chance that a piece of this or more than a couple pieces could, the schedule could change based on the available funding and if we receive cost increases as well.
One more quick question. I can certainly appreciate the size and scope of this project, but is it normal for a project of this nature to take almost 20 years to complete? It seems like a really long window for building.
Well, I mean, we have to redefine normal whenever we tackle a new problem. I mean, it's a project of this nature. This is a very unique project. I'm not sure if it's the most expensive project we've ever pursued, but it's got to be up there. It certainly spans a very long corridor. It's very complex, and the cost alone forces us to span that out over time.
Mayor and board, this is Hazen again. The thing I would say is that Dana and Susan, and probably CJ as well, worked very, very hard to try to pull this together, because it's basically $1 billion project and they have $450 million pot committed right now. And my biggest concern was these parallel roads, because 74 in many ways is the Mississippi River that separates Matthews. We've worked really hard to keep our commercial areas vibrant, and we've watched what's happened up there closer to town on Independence Boulevard, closer to Charlotte. And DOT did listen. And of course, Dana is a great arguer. And so we do appreciate that. Brett, I would say one thing that does kind of concern me a little bit is this is $80 million in 2021 dollars, right? And we're showing $80 million in 29. And what do they call that? The present value of whatever. What's that really going to buy us in 2029? Is that going to buy us $40 million worth of work? Have y'all factored all that in? Is the contingencies going to make it all work?
David could probably answer this more eloquently than I can, but I think we're thinking, we're using present day values in future years. I guess my hope would be that that everything else would move with that inflation. I would like to think it would. Maybe it won't. Maybe it can't. But David, is there a formula for that, or are we simply thinking that that looking at it in present day dollars is the option that we have for the time being?
We do look at the STIP in present day dollars. And so, but I agree with you. I certainly hope, as we probably expect costs to increase in the future. But at the same time, we hope our revenues will increase as well. We do account for inflation in the STIP by reducing the amount of funding available. So inflation is factored into the development STIP. But again, in 2 years, or the next time we update the STIP, I do expect some of these costs and revenues to change over time.
Yeah, we do need to keep repeating that we thought it was very important not to let this project sit around idle while we try to figure all this out. So we really condensed the process and put this together quickly so we could keep that momentum going. The only way to do that would be to use cost projections that we have and use revenue projections that we can forecast. And the reality of that is, and always has been, that it can change, not just with this project, but with any project. So, we have to plan a program with the best information that we have. One of our goals when we started out was that we wanted to be as right as we could be. We would rather come to you guys, our towns, our stakeholders, and say, deliver a plan and have that be the plan and have it work out. It's not our preference for something to change, because we want to deliver on what we tell you we're going to do. But again, it does come down to estimates and projections that can change over time.
Is the video you showed tonight available on the website? So I thought it was really good.
I
These
don't
are
know,
really
is
good
that,
overview of the
is that
project.
on the website, guys? And the website itself, it's got to be updated too. That's actually a part of this process, is that, you know, there's information out there that we need to get corrected. But I'm not sure that that link is in the website.
If I can get a link, I can put it on our town's website for under our underneath the plan project. So I don't know if it's Rada or Brett, if you can email it to me, I can make that happen, at least for the town.
I think that's very helpful in showing the scope of the project and what all's going to happen. It was done very well.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. If I may add, this is Rab. Yes, that video is on the project website. And yes, Dana, I will get you a link for that.
Can I ask a question? The exit ramp at 51 on the video, it said it was being reconfigured, but on this map, to me, it looks like what it looks like currently.
So the bridge has to be widened out to accommodate the wider width of the mainline improvements. And so it's generally performing the same, but again, it just has to be a longer bridge to span that distance. And I think we are modernizing and making some operational improvements with the way these ramps connect and up here at 51.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions while we have so many folks from NCDOT here?
No, sir.
Can I say one parting word, Mayor?
Sure.
So I just want to thank Brett and his team for working so diligently with the stakeholders in the region. I just want to remind everyone that, you know, we brought this to you all for information tonight. And the way this process works is that the MPO, which is the CRTO's Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization, will ultimately vote on this, and the mayor and mayor pro tem both sit on that organization, as well as all of our regional partners in the who are member jurisdictions of CRTPO. They have to amend the STIP, which is the State Transportation Improvement Program, and then ultimately it goes to the Board of Transportation for their adoption. So, we brought you a presentation that was really in the weeds. I'm glad you tolerated it. It's really detail oriented, and I thought you guys would want to know. It's such a massive project. It's so important to transportation and land use, and all the things I think you all hold dear. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them, or I can get you in touch with Brett and his team. But that's why we did this tonight, because we just wanted you all to have a heads up and understand what we're dealing with.
We very much appreciate it. I think maybe a better word for Dana is our advocate instead of our arguer, but good job. And we do appreciate the cooperation from NCDOT. I wanted to share with so many NCDOT employees on the call tonight. I wanted to share that this past weekend, I drove over the South Trade Street Bridge, which was greatly delayed for a long time. But I was thinking to myself, and I said, I got to share this with Brett, because I said, it took a long time, but you did a really good job. That is a really high quality bridge, and it works so much better than what was there previously. And I said, I got to share that. I know that when you guys do deliver the project, it'll be top quality. So we're very appreciative of that, and for working with the towns and sharing as much information as you can with us. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mayor. It's that was a difficult project. We have had several conversations with Dana and Hazen and others at the town about that, and it just had its own set of challenges, and sometimes we're faced with these things and have to react as we go. But we do want to remain a partner with the town, and continuing on the good work that everyone started here. So thank you for that. I'll pass that along to the project team that made that happen.
Any other questions, comments? We again appreciate all the NCDOT folks, and Dana and Susan and CJ joining us tonight. And we're going to take a little break and get back together for a regular meeting at 7 o'clock. So thank you again.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
This is the same one that we're going to come back on to, isn't it the same link? We can just stay on it.
It is, so you can turn your camera off and your mic if you'd like.
All right, thanks a bunch.
You're welcome.
And Laura, you can demote me for the next meeting. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thanks.